Aku ni macam-macam orang kan.
Macam orang tu.
Dia berdiri kat pokok. Tengok apa. Dia tafakur dekat pokok tu. Tafakur.
Dia buang lah pokok tu. Ambil panik.
Tartar soup. Western Wall. Sejuk.
Selepas dia letak apa plaster. Jadi dia lubang. Lepas tu dia letak plaster besar.
We're heading to Hebron melalui jalan bawah tanah.
Okay, in front of us, this is Jaffa Gate. Jaffa Gate, this is the only gate in the western side of the city. In English, they call it Jaffa Gate. In Arabic, we call it Bab al-Khalil. Jaffa Gate, if you leave from here to the west, you will arrive to the city of Jaffa. We call it Bab al-Khalil in Arabic. Bab is the gate, al-Khalil is Hebron. If you leave to the south, you will reach to Hebron. This is what we are doing now, going to the south. So inshallah, we will reach to Hebron in about 1 hour from now. So the wall to your left hand side, which year was built? Testing you now. You remember? But even the name?
Constantinople.
Even now, I forget the name, Lupa?
Tak ada lupa.
Ya Allah.
Ya Rahman ya Karim.
Lupa.
Lepas.
So this was built by
Alexander.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
No. What? No, yes. Not Nabi Sulaiman. Sulaiman the Magnificent from the Turkish Ottoman.
Ottoman.
Nabi Sulaiman was before 3,000 years. This wall before 500 years. Okay? Not in Nabi Sulaiman. Sulaiman al-Qanuni. Or in English they call it Solomon the Magnificent, which from the Turkish period in the year 1536. So it's almost about 500 years old for this wall. Okay? Which is surrounding the old city of Jerusalem. Now in a few seconds to your right hand side you will see the pool of the Sultan, Kulam Sultan. At the time of Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, they used to bring the water to the Al-Aqsa complex from here to your right hand side. So there is an aqueduct under the ground bringing the water to Al-Aqsa complex, which is at the time of the Turkish also they used to give free water sabil for the people who used to come to Bayt al-Maqdis. The buildings to your right hand side with the red roofs, this is called Mashkanot Shananim. This is the first settlement to be built outside the city wall in the year 1885. It was built by a Richel family. The owner of these houses, they are either American Jews or British Jews. Each house of these houses cost more than $2 million and it is not for sale because of the location. If you go now to all that area is empty because the owner, either they are in UK or in US. They come here only in the Jewish holiday, Yahudi holiday. You can see to your right hand side, this is the Sabil from the Turkish period. Now to your left hand side, this is the Valley of the Blood, Lambahdara. Okay, down here to the left. at the time of Nabi Dawud alayhi salam, who was living in Jerusalem, the Jebusite people. And the Jebusite people used to sacrifice their first-born male son, and they throw it to the power of God. Okay, so they call it the Valley of the Blood. What continue after that? You know the story of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, Judah, Yehuda, betrayed Isa alayhi salam according to the Christian belief, and he received money. He received 30 coins. Okay, so according to the Christian belief, after they crucified Isa alayhi salam, which is for us, Isa alayhi salam never been crucified, right? Someone else look like him is the one had been crucified. But for the Christian, they say that Isa alayhi salam was crucified. So he feel guilty after they crucified Isa alayhi salam. He went back to give the money to the priest. The priest refused that money because it's a bloody money. So he come to that valley and he hang himself. So it's become Haql al-Dama, the valley of the blood. Okay, now we are in West Jerusalem. Jerusalem is divided to east and west. When you say west, it means Yehudi, the new city. When you say east, it means the Palestinians, the old city.
Territory.
Okay, so all the houses what you see on the right hand side, this is Yehudi. You will see Palestinian people here and there, yes, you will see, but the houses belong to Yehudi, not to the Palestinians.
Thank you.
Hujan mo. Tutup balik.
Ito?
Hujan.
Hujan na. Ada lupa nak pakai yang tu.
Kan di lembek.
Beg mana?
Always.
Yang mana?
Tutup balik.
Hmm.
Tutup balik ada.
Tak ada.
Cuma tak mana?
Tak kot.
So the American embassy that has been transferred from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in May, it is very close to this area. You know that they transferred the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. What is the reason that it was problems here and there? Because Jerusalem, it's under Israeli control. So any country transfer the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, it means that they accept Jerusalem to be the capital for Israel. So this is the things that the Palestinians and the Islamic or the Arabic word what they don't like. I don't know if they don't like or just to show the media. So we have the only embassy we have until now, it's only the American embassy here in Jerusalem. Okay. You know, Jerusalem, it is the second largest city in population. Number one is Tel Aviv, number two is Jerusalem. It's about 1 million living in Jerusalem, which is 60% they are Yahudi, 40% they are Palestinians. You know, since the year 1980, 1981, always Israel want to have more population in Jerusalem than the Palestinians. When we reached to the year 1989, the Palestinian was a little bit more than the Yahudi. So what the Yahudi did, they immigrated Russian to bring them to
Palestine.
Israel and let them live in Jerusalem at the beginning, you know, to have more population. Because, you know, the Yahudi, they are not thinking about what they will have for lunch today, what they will have dinner today. They are thinking about 2-3 years in advance. So why they want all the time the Yahudi more than the Palestinians in Jerusalem? Because in the future, if they will sit on the table to talk with the Palestinians about the peace in Jerusalem, okay, they will say, listen, in Jerusalem we have more Yahudi than the Palestinians, so this is belong to us. Things like that. But you know, until now, they are every time they bring immigrant. 1989 Russia, 1992 from Ethiopia, 1999 from France, 2015 from France, 2020 they bring from India. So they are planning all the time to have more population in Jerusalem than the Palestinians. You can see to the right hand side, this is the religious Jews, which we call them the Zionists. You know, the Jewish people, the Jews putting the kippah, the cap, the head, they call it kippah. And this is the religious Jews, the Zionist Jews, you know, these people, most of them, they are living in the settlement. And all the time the problem is come out from these people, the settlers who settled in the West Bank and in the settlement around the city of Jerusalem. Now to the right hand side, this is the area that belonged to the Ethiopian people that they immigrated in the year 1999, 1993. So you'll see some Ethiopian people here and there. Here you see one over there also. So they are living in this area, which is located on your right hand side. Ethiopia, Africa.
Di Ethiopia. Kata banyak Afrika. Tel Aviv. Bethlehem. Ramat Rachel. Semua belah kiri left hand drive. Besar penempatan dia.
If you look to the right hand side, you can see the new city of Jerusalem. Okay, this is the new city of Jerusalem. So all the people, all the area to the right hand side is Yahudi.
Ni, right hand side.
Ya.
Yahudi.
Yahudi.
Givat Matos. Rumah ketai pada.
What has been crazy in Malay?
Gila.
Gila. Okay. Now in a minute we will enter the second largest settlement in Jerusalem. It's called Gilo. Similar.
Oh, gila.
Okay. So this is the second largest settlement in Jerusalem. As I told you yesterday, when we say settlement, it means only Yahudi people living over there. Okay. Settlement, it is occupied land. It had been occupied in 1967. Yeah. See? Gilo.
Kelate. Gilo.
Kubo Tom. Kubo Rachel. Tak nampaknya kubo pun.
Mana tu?
Tak.
Oh tu panjang-panjang tu, besi tu dapat tu. Salib tu.
Tu bukan tu tidak kain.
Dia tidak kain kat situ.
Dia punya polis tu.
Muka stesen eh.
Muka macam Mat Saleh eh?
Semua lelaki tak ada perempuan pun.
Tu saya tu ramai-ramai.
Nampak pun. Malaysia.
Gilo.
You see at the right hand side, all this, they are Palestinians worker yeah, they get permission. They are living in the West Bank where we are going now, like city of Bethlehem, Al-Qadr, Hebron. So this, not all of them, because that young child he don't have with the bag, because they don't give here the one that he's playing in his hand. This one he don't have because they don't give permission for a person less than 30 years. He should be married, minimum 2 children. Okay, and if he have any political problem in the past, he will never get this visa or this permission to come to Israel. We have almost about 25,000 Palestinians, people of the West Bank, who is working in Israel and in Jerusalem. Anyway, this is the settlement in front of us. To have an idea what is the settlement, it is occupied land. The Yahudi occupied in 1967. They start to build their own houses, and now as you can see, it is a very large settlement. The population more than 30,000. It is the second largest settlement surrounding Jerusalem. The first one is Ma'ale Adumim. The second one is Gilo. It's like a small city, you can find everything in that settlement. Anyway, in a few minutes we will leave Jerusalem. We are entering to the West Bank. In the year 1994, when they signed the peace between Israel and Palestinians, they divide the peace to 3 areas: Area A, Area B, and Area C. Area A, yesterday we entered to Area A, right? You remember? Which city?
Jericho.
Which city?
Jericho.
Jericho, yes. City of Jericho, we entered yesterday, it's Area A. And now we are going to Hebron. It's also Area A, Hebron. It means that the people that you will see in Hebron, only Palestinian except Al-Haram al-Ibrahimi, where we are going now. The security, the soldiers, the police that you will see, they are Yahudi, not Palestinians. We'll tell you why is the reason they have now Yahudi instead of the Palestinians. So in Area A, you will not find any Yahudi except in Hebron. Area B, in a minute we'll enter a checkpoint. From that point until we reach to the entrance of Hebron, this is called Area B, that you will find the Yahudi and the Palestinians. The Yahudi, they go to the settlement, the Palestinians go to the cities. And Area C, this is Area C.
Asian.
Here, all this area to your right hand side, the front, this is Area C, and you can see now the separation wall, which we call it Sharon Wall. Yes, in 2003, Sharon gave an order to build a wall around the West Bank. We are talking about 350 kilometers, about 8 meters in high. As you can see now, this is part of the wall. Here to your right hand side, it's part of the wall, as you can see. So the people is living behind are from the West Bank. So Area C, it is used by the Palestinians for agriculture. They cannot build any houses or anything since the year 1995. Maybe you'll find here one room, there one house. This is before the year 1995. But from the year 1995 until now, they didn't build even one stone. This was the deal between the Israeli and Palestinians for Area C, which is very close to the separation wall or very close to the border, because it was at that time no separation wall. Separation wall, we started to build it in 2003 and we are now 2018, so 15 years old for Sharon Wall. Sharon, you heard about Sharon? Ariel Sharon, that he was in coma for
Prime
7 8
Minister.
years, Azab al-Dunya, and now inshallah Azab al-Akhirah. See again, the right hand side, Area C, and like that house, it is before the year 1995. Some houses here and there, that's all before the year 1995. So in a minute, we will enter the checkpoint. It means that we are entering to the
Hebron.
West Bank, entering to area B, because you will see the yellow number, and later on you will see the Palestinians number, which is written on it P, with white and green color. Wherever you see the Palestinians number, you have to know that either you are in area A, B, C. You will not see them in Jerusalem. Okay? This is the checkpoint. Entering to the West Bank, no problem. No one will check you. When you come back from the West Bank entering to Jerusalem, as you can see, they are checking the cars. And
Oh, pergi
they
je
are
dah dalam, balik je
Yahudi,
dah
okay?
betul.
Who's checking the car? They are Yahudi, not the Palestinian. So from this point we say, welcome to West Bank. Now, the Palestinian people who's living in Palestine and Israel. Also, the people we divide them to three. We call them the Arabs of 1948 or the Arab Israeli. Now, I'm talking about nationality, not religious. Okay? Arabs 1948 or Arab Israeli in the year 1948, we have a war here. Israel, when the war entered to the cities in the north, they registered the name of the people over there. 1954, they start to give them the Israeli citizen. So they become an Israeli citizen. We call them Arab Israeli. Sometimes you hear they call them Arabs of 1948. Okay? So these people, you will not see them because they are living in north of Palestine, north of Israel now. These people, they have the right like any Yahudi person in the country. Even they have 13 seats in the Israeli parliament. Yesterday, before we entered to Aqsa, was police in the front, right? And then I told them I have Malaysian. This is Arab Israeli. They are serving in the Israeli police. Okay, not in the military, only police. So probably today also, before we go to Aqsa, you will see that not the soldier, the police, they are Arab Israeli. Okay? So these people, they are living in the north. Now you have the Arabs of 1967. You saw yesterday in Aqsa, when we pray Isha, it was so many people, right? Also me, also Mufid, our driver, Muqtasir. So all of us, we are known as the Arabs of 1967. 1967. What happened here in 1967? A war. 6 days war. Israel win the war.
Why
So
Israel?
they entered to the cities in Jerusalem, to the town. They registered the name of our father, grandfather, and in the year 1970 they start to give the Israeli ID. So I have an Israeli ID. My passport is Jordanian. All the people who's living in Jerusalem, they have the Israeli ID. The passport is Jordanian, and by blood we are Palestinians. But we don't have the right to go to any Israeli elections. We don't have the right to go to any Jordanians elections. We don't have the right to go to any Palestinians elections. We don't know to whom we are belong. You know? Belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I don't know how they do elections. You know, I never go to any elections in Israel, Jordan or Palestine. It's not allowed for us. And always Jerusalem is, when they talk about the peace, Jerusalem is the last thing they talk about it, because Yahudi all the time, they would like to avoid to talk about Jerusalem. So they talk about Gaza, they talk about the West Bank, you know, but they don't talk about Jerusalem. So we don't know to whom we are belong. We belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Ya Allah. And we pay tax for the Yahudi. This is we know. Taxes go to Jerusalem. The third is the Palestinian